Hello, it's Mr Tyrrell here. We're going to have a look at the 2015 Leisure and Tourism paper. We're going to go through it and look at how I would tackle the paper. Try and keep the video to about 7 or 8 minutes so that you see that you can look through the exam paper really quickly and be having some mental triggers for what you should do. So I'm going to start by looking at the paper, and I'm just going to go through to the long question because I want to kind of pre-program in my mind what is it going to be about. So I'm just going to have a quick look before I go back to starting the paper. Okay, so explain how well one named UK beach, so I'll be using Bude, meets the needs of one or the following types of customer. Seaside resort, one type of customer. I will probably do couples, I guess, but that I think is not too bad a question, so I'll come back to that a bit later on. Okay, so we're going to go through the exam paper. I'm just going to take some notes and hopefully that will help you work out how to do it. So firstly, we're going to look at the short questions at the start. Okay, that's a really easy one, just looking at a historic attraction, so I know straight away that that's what I'd label. And then my second question is asking me about a short haul destination or a long haul destination from the UK. This is one of those type of unseen type of questions where you need a little bit of background knowledge. It's saying to me Southeast Asia. I know that's a long way away, so that's going to be long haul. Carthage is on the Mediterranean coastline, so I know that my definition of short haul is within the Mediterranean basin, so that gives me that idea. Perfect. Okay, easy 3 marks there. Right, my next question, describing the range of leisure activities that people can enjoy when they visit a named overseas visitor attraction. So for this one, I would be using the natural visitor attraction will be the Grand Canyon, because I know that we've studied that in lots of detail. I'm likely to get 1 mark for doing that. And then I've got to either make 2 developed points, or I've got to mention 4 different things for the Grand Canyon. What I'm going to do, I'll just make some notes because I know that I've got the Hoover Dam is something I could describe. I've got the helicopter tour from Las Vegas is another big way that another activity that people can enjoy when they go there, and obviously I've got the Skywalk. Now if I developed each of those points and said what they were, that would be me talking about the activities at that natural attraction. So that should be fairly simple with those 3 things to get my 5 marks. Okay, so far so good. Right, question 4. Ooh. Okay, so question 4 is one of those questions in the exam paper that is going to stump you a little bit, and that's definitely one of the harder questions. I'm going to come back to that one later. Right, so question 5, explain the environmental impacts caused by tourists travelling to and around destinations. So I've basically got to think to myself, what environmental impacts do each of these have? So I could talk why they have different environmental impacts. So I'm going to go for 6 marks. I'm going to try and make 4 points. Right, so firstly, so I'll just make some notes. Train is, so that's good in terms of emissions, because obviously it carries lots of people. So it's relatively good for CO2 and the environment. If I explain that point, I'm getting myself probably towards about 3 marks. Is good. Okay, so that's fairly easy one so far. Right, so if I do other environmental impacts, right, I'm going to use the car actually, because that's another easy one to do. So with car, I'm going to say that an environmental impact of cars can be traffic congestion. And the other negative of cars are noise pollution. So I'm well on my way to getting my 6 now, because I've got 2 different types of transport, and I've got a couple of points for each. I'm just going to make sure that I go safely. Right, I'm going to use the boat, the cruise liner, and what I'm going to do is that one. I'm going to be quite kind of clever with my answer. I'm going to say, well, they can cause water pollution, like oil and wastewater that they produce. So 3 things. I mean, I could quite easily go for the plane, and I could talk about how plane have negative environmental impact because it's high usage of fuel for short and long haul destinations. But I think I've probably got enough there. Okay, so question 6. Oh, that's just a matching exercise, right? So I've got my ferry port, I know is Holyhead. I've got my aircraft, has to be Belfast International, because I know that the Eurostar train is St Pancras Station. I've got one more thrown in, but I know that it's none of those, so that's easy, 3 marks. Okay, question 7. One national park. Okay, so our one national park is Dartmoor. And what does it offer to families with children? It's worth 4 marks, so I won't get a mark for putting in Dartmoor. So I've got to think what 4 things or what 2 developed points could I give. So I know that Dartmoor Zoo is a good one for families, which is perfect for families with children. I'd explain, I'd say what's there. So I'd talk about the different animals that are there, and I also know families with children that they do the face painting, so that is particularly good. Okay, that's Dartmoor, so that's 1 point where I'm going to mention 2 things, so I can probably get 2 marks there. And then after that I would use the museum at Princetown, so I could say that would have the history of Dartmoor. What else could I do? Describe what it offers to families with children. So what I could do is they have the circular, so I've got circular cycle tours around Roadford Lake, and that's good as well. Describe what it offers, so I don't have to say why it's good, I just have to say what it offers. Okay, so that's question 7. Right, question 8. Many factors affect how people choose which destinations to visit. This shows a promotional flyer, and on my promotional flyer I've got some of the things that are good about this this particular holiday. So it's offering, obviously it's coaches to Costa del Sol in Spain and the south of France. Okay, so, all right, so it's telling us that it's got some refreshments, onboard entertainment, wheelchair lifts. It'll beat ticket prices for the airlines, so I've got several different benefits. Okay, and the question is, so explain how. So how this might appeal to retired people. So I've got several bits here. I've got to worry about retired people. I've got to explain how. I can't just take things off of that that leaflet. I've got to think about it appealing to retired people, and it's worth another 6 marks. So what do I need to do? So so retired people, I'm going to be quite stereotypical. I'm going to go for cost first. So I'm going to mention cost in my answer, and I'm going to say that retired on a pension, so budget conscious. It's a bit like questions when you do them about teenagers and young adults. You can use retired on a pension, so budget conscious. You okay there, Mrs Tyrrell?
Yeah.
I can see you leaning on my shoulder a bit. You're feeling a bit tired. Okay.
I was getting heavy.
Right. Okay. So, what other thing is good? Retired on pension, so budget conscious. Oh, and they've said, haven't they? So they'll beat airline prices. So that's good. Right. Okay. So they've got. Let's do another stereotypical type of thing. So they can. So let's assume that some retired people, some retired have limited mobility, and this company can help with this, and saying help is the important bit because we're explaining how a company can help by using wheelchair lifts. Okay, so wheelchair lifts. Obviously, if you were writing this out, you'd be writing it by sentences. So we've got to choose 6 marker. One more thing. Sunshine guaranteed. I missed that. Right, okay, so they are guaranteed sunshine. So explain how. Well, that would be retired want good weather for activities. We could kind of say that for any customer type, but it's true. Retired want good weather, and they're guaranteed the sunshine, so that's good. Because this is a 6 marker and I'm not sure I've hit all the boxes, I'm just going to make one more point to be definitely sure. I'd say about okay, refreshments, good as retired groups expect a comfort stop, toilet as well, at regular intervals or regular breaks. All right, so I've made 4 points there. Probably too much, but I want to bag myself those 6 marks. Okay, so that's good. Right, my 9-mark question. So this one is an easy one, really. We don't really need to say too much. Just thinking about things for couples imbued or groups travelling together imbued. I have to choose one. I've been thinking about it since I've been writing the paper so far. I think that I'm going to go with the couples. Yeah, I'm going to go with couples. So I'm going to use Bude. So we're going to let's see if we can make several points. So one, so explain how well. Right, so we're going to say how Bude's good. So couples. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to make a list and then we could attach points. So couples, what could couples do? They could do surf lesson. And that could be how well would that meet their needs. Well, surf lessons so it's something fun to do together. Something fun together. So that's an activity. We've got the cinema. Okay, so we've got the Rebel Cinema. Remember, it's important that we talk about actual places. Now, Rebel Cinema is good because it's indoor activity if the weather is bad. If weather bad. Okay, we didn't mention surf lessons. We probably ought to say, thinking about it, probably ought to say with who. So let's take Raven Surf School at Widmouth. Raven Surf School Widmouth, because to get those higher end marks we need to mention places. How am I doing for time, Mrs Tyrrell?
13 minutes.
13 minutes, so nothing like the 5 or 6 I planned at the start. Okay, we'll see if we can wrap it up shortly then. Okay, Rebel Cinema, surf lessons. Right, I need to think of some more, so maybe I suggest a place to eat. Where did we used to go out for dinner? Tommy Jack's.
Tommy Jack's sounds nice. Yeah.
Okay, so Tommy Jack's. So we'll put the romantic meal. Romantic meal together.
Or the beach for cocktails.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Right, so we ought to have something like the beach and bed nightclub. Not that we go to bed nightclub anymore. Far too old now. Beach, bed, nightclub. Right, so good for a young couple. For a young couple who want to party. Okay, yeah, that'll work. Right, so what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Let's make another one. What else is good for couples in Bude? So we've done our outdoor activities, we've done our indoor activity, we've done place to go and eat, romantic meal. Maybe we need a shop. So let's say, okay, let's use Anne's Cottage. So we could say with Anne's Cottage surf shop. So this is so it's unique to Bude for a surfy souvenir. Okay, that's pretty good. If I wanted to get another one, I probably ought to, really.
Canoeing, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, okay, so let's do something along, canoe,
Paddle boats in
the canal. So we could use something like that, or we could use the sea pool.
Castle.
Yeah, I think we're just going to use an outdoor activity. Getting carried away now, Mrs Tyrrell. Canoe, the canal, sea pool. So we could, exercise or something active together. Right, okay, that's 7 things. If we wrote that up with good English, that would get us our 12, I'm sure. Okay, so we're doing quite well here. So what have we got? We've got several questions left. I've got to go back to that one that I found difficult earlier on. Describe a route from your home area to a UK beach or seaside report. And now that's tricky because when we're talking about Bude, we probably need to make, because it's worth 3 marks, we need to make like a place to a place. So let's do it like we were doing to Bristol Airport before. So if we say Bristol, and then we say to Bude, and we've done this before, so we say M5 South to Tiverton, junction 27, take A39 westbound to Barnstable, head south on A39 to Bude. Right, that's enough detail there. Perfect. Okay, right, box. Okay, so just quick ones. We've got to have a natural, historic, theme park, major built attraction. So Diggerland, visitors drive construction vehicles. That sounds to me like that's probably a theme park, but I'll come back to that just by process of elimination. San Siro Stadium is football. Right, so that's definitely a sport or entertainment venue, so I can put D in. So that's that one done. Mount Fuji is Japan's highest mountain. Right, that's definitely a natural attraction, so I can get rid of that. The Science Museum is in London, so that's going to be... what have I got left? I've got theme park. Yeah, I think I'm going to go... So Diggerland must be a theme park or a built attraction. Science Museum is not historic. It's not a theme park, so it must be a built attraction. So that's E. So that means I go back to Diggerland. That is my C. Yeah, perfect. Okay, right, done that. Lastly, 8 marks for this. Explain the advantages and disadvantages travelling by air. Right, so I'm just going to do it like this for the sake of this. So pros and cons. Right, so travel by air. So it's good for long distance. What else is good about air? So you can have in-flight service or entertainment. Okay, so it can be relaxing as you don't have to drive yourself. Relaxing as you don't drive yourself. You can get extra services such as legroom or business class, for example. Right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 positives there. Right, the negatives, right, so it's bad for the environment. Luggage is often extra cost. Expensive, flying's quite expensive. Expensive, especially long haul. I mean, you can get your cheap flights, expensive, especially long haul. I suppose we could also say so cheap with budget carriers if booked in advance. With budget, if booked in advance, that's like EasyJet and Ryanair, like companies that do really cheap tickets. So we can have that. It doesn't matter if we have that both expensive and cheap and expensive. Another negative is so you have to travel to an airport and wait with increased security. I think now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got quite a good answer there to get our 8 marks. Would we add anything extra just in case? Maybe say some airports as a negative are a long way. Some airports are a long way from destination. Some airports long way from cities, or your final destination. I think we've got quite a lot there to talk about. Okay, so then what we need to do, I've gone through that paper. I've got to go back to that question that I found quite difficult earlier. I said there'd be one that would stop me. Here it is. Benefits of sustainable tourism. Right, so what are the benefits of it? What is it and what are the benefits? Well, the benefits I could think of would be like education and conservation. So if you're going to have tourism which is sustainable, you educate people for the future about things like environmental impacts, and conservation is you can protect destinations you visit. Explain other benefits. Okay, so it can be so the things like how it helps the host community, so jobs for host populations. So if tourism's sustainable, it provides jobs for people, and they are the people that live there, the host jobs for host populations. Anything else I can think of? So we've got the environment, we've got educating, we've got jobs. We can have perhaps maybe if you have sustainable tourism and it grows, it can offer new facilities for local people. Okay. What are we doing for time, Mrs. Tyrrell?
21 minutes.
21 minutes. Okay, so in 21 minutes, I've managed to go through that exam paper. What I'd suggest you do is to obviously spend a little bit more time than me, and I've just written notes. You would, of course, have to write this in paragraphs, sentences and paragraphs to do it properly, but it just shows you that you can get through the paper very quickly if you need to. And pick up lots of those marks. So the last thing I probably ought to do is have a look back to check that I've done enough for each mark available with my time. So I would go through my short questions first, and then I'd double check, particularly like my 12 marker and my 8 marker, and think to myself, have I said enough? Could I get any more marks there? Okay, so what I'd like you to do is have a go at this exam paper. Thank you.